Hello, welcome to today's screencast. Focus is going to be on nutritional ergogenic aids. Now, when we're talking about nutritional ergogenic aids, it can split up into two categories really. First one is actually foods or drinks that we have within our diet. On top of that, we can have dietary supplements. So what we're going to have a look at in the first part of the screencast is going to be dietary supplements such as creatine, caffeine, bicarbonate and nitrates. And the key thing here, we're looking at how diet and dietary supplements can enhance our performance. So if I just get you over to the answer framework, remember for any ergogenic aid we've got to be able to use this framework in order to ensure we can answer any type of questions linked to ergogenic aids in the exam. So let's have a look then. First one we're going to have a look at is nitrates. Now nitrates, where do you get them from? So nitrates basically is an ergogenic aid that you get by consuming root vegetables. Now this could be beetroot as a really popular example of this. Now often if you don't like beetroot, this might mean that you take a supplement version of this, which is called a beetroot supplement or beet supplement, as you can see in the picture here. Now when you take beetroot supplements or eat beetroot, what happens is it converts to nitrate in our body. Okay, and when it converts to nitrate in our body, it has really, really interesting effects on our blood vessels. So what happens if we take beetroot supplement and then when it converts to nitrate within our body, this will happen. We'll have vasodilation of blood vessels. Now, as we'll be aware from lessons on vascular shunt, if we have vasodilation of blood vessel, we remember that if we look on a normal blood vessel on the left-hand side here, and then if you have vasodilation, it will open up. So it'll be a dilated blood vessel. Now, because by taking beetroot supplements, if we do this and we increase nitrates in our body, it will vasodilate the blood vessels, as you can see on the right-hand side here. Now, what we should know from previous knowledge on vascular shunt is if we vasodilate the blood vessel, this will lead to an increased blood flow. So what we know about ergogenic aids and the positive effects of them from before, we know that if we increase our blood flow, this is going to increase oxygen transport to the working muscles. So by vasodilating blood vessels, we will lead to an increased oxygen transport to our working muscles. Now, hopefully people feel that is pretty straightforward. Now, from our previous knowledge on ergogenic aids, if we have a positive like this, that we have increased oxygen transport to our working muscles, we should be aware that this is going to have a real positive effect on how long we can work and how hard we can work for. So it will increase the intensity and duration of performance. And then finally, one of the benefits of this is you might remember that if we have an undilated vessel here and then a dilated vessel here, this means blood can flow through quicker, as we've already said. Now, what this can also do is it can lead to a decreased blood pressure, okay, because there is less resistance to flow, so the blood can flow through the vessel way easier. So it can decrease our blood pressure as well. So hopefully you can see that. That gives us some decent advantages there to have a look at. And the final one we can have a look at is by doing all of these things, it can help reduce fatigue. Okay, so that should be reduces fatigue. So if you want to put that in as well, that gives you an extra advantage there you can put on. Now, if we start to consider them, and I'm just going to try and get your head towards it. So if we imagine now, we are taking a supplement that leads to vasodilation of the blood vessels. Okay, this means oxygen is transported in greater volume to the working muscles. Now, if we imagine that, if you can imagine all the blood is shifting and redistributing into our muscles. So when it does this, this causes problems for us, particularly towards our brain. So what happens because of all the blood flowing to the working muscles with the oxygen in it, this will lead to dizziness and headaches because all of the blood is flowing away from our brain almost too much to an extent. On top of that, there is confirmed here, but there is kind of potential that it could be carcinogenic, which means it could lead to cancer. Okay, so this is something that's still being researched, but that is another one that you would get as a disadvantage for this, and you're going to need it because if it's an evaluation question, there's a good chance that, you know, if it's a 4 mark, you would need to make sure you have got 2 disadvantages in there. Now, with regard to our information with linked to WADA and whether it is legal or not, it is a legal supplement supplement to take, and it is most linked to aerobic performers, for example, middle long distance athletes, runners, cyclists, because obviously oxygenated blood to the working muscles is really going to help those type of athletes. Now, if I move on from there then, let's have a go to our next one. I'll just put the example there, or the picture there. Let's have a look at our next supplement we're going to look at, or a dietary supplement. We're going to look at creatine. Okay, so creatine is something that I imagine the majority of you have heard of. So this is a key thing just to get within our description. Now, it is naturally produced and stored in the muscle cell as phospho-creatine. All of us should know this because we have studied ATP-PC system. So we know that we store PC in our muscle sarcoplasm. Now, the key thing on creatine as a dietary supplement is that it can be synthetically administered as a supplement called creatine monohydrate. Okay, so like we all have the hormone EPO, we can also synthetically administer EPO. Okay, but in this case, this is not an illegal one, but this is an example of how we can synthetically administer creatine monohydrate instead of having our natural PC stored in the muscle. So how we take it, people will load up on creatine, and I'm hoping that people will start to think about what the advantages might be. So if we already have PC in our muscle sarcoplasm, and then we synthetically administer creatine monohydrate on top, this is going to lead to increased PC stores in the muscle sarcoplasm, and this will lead to an increased energy or ATP resynthesis from the ATP-PC system. Okay, so we get more explosive energy. Now, on top of that, this will lead to, because the ATP-PC system is absolutely vital for strength, particularly maximum explosive strength, this will increase as well. So we will increase our maximum explosive strength, and you would know that people such as weightlifters, shot putters, for example, they take this type of supplement because they need maximum explosive strength. On top of that, it can reduce fatigue in high intensity activity. On top of that, it can increase our recovery. So I'm just going to say from this, hopefully people remember that when we talked about fast and slow epoch. Fast epoch required as the first part of our recovery, we need to resynthesize a PC store. So if we're supplementing creatine, okay, it means that we have more PC stores, therefore it's quicker to recover those PC stores in recovery. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense on why you would have an increased recovery there. On top of that, the disadvantages for creatine then. So I put onto here, because as a supplement, it's called creatine monohydrate. Okay, so it aims to hydrate our muscles. It can lead to water retention. Okay, so water retention, and particularly around the skeletal muscles. This then, if we have more water around our skeletal muscles, this can also lead to an increase in weight gain. Okay, and on top of that, it can lead to gastrointestinal problems, which is basically stomach problems. So if you take too much of it, it can make you need to go to the toilet a lot. I don't know which way to put that. So gastrointestinal, stomach-based problems. And on top of that, if you want to put an extra one, I think I've put it in on the screen, it can also lead to muscle cramps. Okay, because it actually, even though there's a water retention and it hydrates the muscles, it can lead to dehydration elsewhere. Okay, so it can lead to muscle cramps if you want to put that in as well. On top of that then, let's have a quick look down to here. WADA, most people will know that creatine supplements or creatine monohydrate is sold in shops on the high street, so it's legal, and it's most effective for anaerobic performers such as weightlifters and sprinters because they need high intensity, low duration actions, as we would know from our knowledge around the ATP-PC system. Okay, so that's creatine. Let's move on to the next one then. Next supplement is caffeine. All of us will know about caffeine. It's in coffee, it's in Red Bull, it's in Monster. Okay, so a little description of this. It's a stimulant that heightens the central nervous system, heightens the responses of the central nervous system. So if that is the case, what are the advantages then of caffeine? And I think this is really, really interesting because a lot of people don't know some of the key benefits of taking caffeine. So caffeine, if you take caffeine, this is what can happen. It can stimulate fat metabolism. So what this means is it burns fat first, and it really, I suppose, accentuates this kind of, accentuates the burning of fat. So it stimulates fat metabolism. And then if you go on from there, and if you remember from the aerobic system, if you can stimulate fat metabolism, or if you can burn fat first, what this does is it spares or saves glycogen. So you burn the fat first, it stops you from wearing out, depleting all of your glycogen. So it spares the glycogen. So glycogen sparing is the way I've termed it in here. And on top of that, the benefits that are more psychological, I suppose, is that if you take caffeine, because of it heightening the central nervous system, it can lead to increased focus or alertness, I suppose. So if we go on from here, focused, alertness, attention, any of those words in there as a result of taking caffeine. Now, the disadvantages of taking caffeine. First one, take caffeine, it can lead to dehydration. On top of that, it can lead to gastrointestinal problems. Too much coffee can give you stomach upset as well, but the term you're going to need to use is gastrointestinal problems. Okay, on top of that, it can sometimes lead to insomnia and anxiety. It can give you the shakes a little bit, and it stops people from sleeping. Okay, so they're the key disadvantages there. Going on, in terms of World Anti-Doping Association, it's legal, obviously, and then on top of that, it is most effective for aerobic performers. Why? Because aerobic performers need to use fat as a fuel, because remember, fat burns 2 to 3 times, synthesizes 2 to 3 times more energy, and therefore, if we can use fat first, then it leaves us glycogen to use later in aerobic activities. So hopefully you can see how that would link to aerobic performers, and obviously we've got the examples there. So moving on then, last one we're going to have a look at today, and that is bicarbonate. Now bicarbonate, again, I imagine is something you wouldn't have heard of as a sports supplement. So bicarbonate is actually from bicarbonate soda. Okay, which you put in cakes. It's part of a cake mixture. Okay, and it is actually, in its kind of, I suppose, biological form, it is an alkaline. Okay, it's an alkaline that is taken to neutralize the acid levels in your blood. Don't worry about writing that. I mean, you can add it to your notes if you want to. So it's an alkaline taken 1 hour before an event to neutralize acid levels. It's often called soda loading. So you take it an hour before and it has huge effects on lactic acid. So when we think about bicarbonate, we have to remember that it is an alkaline. Okay, here you see it on that switch. It's an alkaline taken 1 hour before an event, and if you wanted to add this to it, you can, to neutralize lactic acid levels in your blood. Now, go down from here. What are the advantages then? So I've tried to just kind of link a little bit. I don't want you to write too much about lactic acid in your description, because I want you to make sure you've got it in as your advantages. So what is the key advantage then? Bicarbonate B will buffer or increase your buffering capacity. Now, if you can say it increases buffering capacity and you can explain what that is, there's a good chance you're going to get 2 marks in terms of an advantage. So if you know that an increased buffering capacity will mean that you have an increased tolerance to lactic acid, that is something you're going to get. Now, on top of that, if you can then remember that the actual kind of overview or the term that would summarize the fact we have increased tolerance to lactic acid, as it will delay obla. Okay, so it means we can work for longer. That then leads to an increased intensity and duration of performance. And this, of course, if we can work more intensely for a longer duration, it helps delay fatigue compared to what it would be if we didn't take it. Now, if I said to you on this, I mean, I've got friends who have taken this, okay, taking this before doing things such as a 400-meter race, for example. And if I said to you on this, what is the key things to consider on this? So if you imagine you're taking part of the ingredients you put in a cake, but without any of the sugar or the icing or the nice stuff. If you imagine ingesting that, I was hoping you'd start to feel that you would feel sick. So it can lead to nausea if you take this. And people, when they've done a 400-meter race, which is exhausting anyway, with taking this, their performance will increase because their portive oblas move back, but they are sick, okay, really sick. So nausea is one of the key ones there. And also, if you're putting powder, taking powder and orally ingesting it, it can lead to gastrointestinal problems. Now, ignore this picture here, because the key thing I need you to say on this is that it is illegal, but it is most effective for anaerobic performers. So ignore that picture. I didn't mean to have that on there. So it's most effective for sprinters. And if we want to put a specific example, it would be 400-meter sprinters for this. Now, that is your key sections there. Key thing for you really is trying to make sure we get these descriptions right, and then we can lead the description into advantages and disadvantages. You'll notice a lot of similar words that we've used in the past, but for dietary supplements, we need to make sure we use our previous knowledge of physiology, the ATP-PC system, okay, vascular shunt, the glycolytic system, or the negative effects of lactic acid. All of these things will help us when we're given the advantages. So make good notes. Remember, I want multiple questions to make sure that you have interrogated your notes before you come into the lesson. Okay, thank you.